Greetings, I'm Dr. Sean Reed, author of The Dating Toolbox, available on Amazon.com. So today I want to talk about body count. More specifically, I want to talk about why body count matters and why body count matters more for women than it does for men. This is a very controversial position. We're going to see that there's not an overwhelming body of academic research on this subject, and I'm going to explain why that's so throughout this video, and then I'm going to explain why men tend to, if you want a successful long-term relationship, why you want to avoid women with high body counts. And again, this is a very politically incorrect position, but it's true, guys. You got to rely a little bit on your common sense here. Okay, so this video is kicked off by the fact that on one of the relationship forums, this guy was rummaging through his garage and his parents' junk, and he found this notebook. And in this notebook was done by his mom, and her mom documented all the men she had intercourse with. And the notebook had more than 40 men, and she would grade them from A+ to D-. So she listed all these men she slept with and rated their sexual performance. She gave them a grade for their sexual performance. And obviously this would be very devastating for the young man. I don't really know what played out. All I know is that he found this, and his mom had slept with more than 40 women. Now, keep in mind, his mom had slept with 40 men. Keep in mind, these are the men she documented. So that number may have been higher than 40. And so, like I said today, I want to explain why that's not a good thing if you want a successful relationship. Now, as I mentioned, there isn't a lot of academic literature on this, and here is why. Academia is dominated by a political agenda, okay? I've talked about this before, but if we look at an analysis of psychologists showed, they looked at 31 psychologists, and 30 were extremely liberal, not just slightly leaning left. 30 were extremely liberal. Most consider themselves hardcore feminists. And if you do work, if you try and, I know this because I had an academic career for 20 years, if you try and do work that isn't consistent with the dominant political paradigm, your career is going to get crushed. So there's a reason why we don't see a lot of academic research documenting the fact that body count matters. It's because of the political nature of academia. Okay, so if you were to come out and do a study, and that study showed that body count mattered for women less than it matters for men, which is the truth, we'll talk about that in a moment, you would never get tenure, you would get fired, and you wouldn't have a job. So that's why we're not seeing a lot of research on this topic. So again, guys, a lot of times I tell people, when you look at academic studies, step back and say, does this study make sense? Is it common sense? A lot of times it's good to go with your gut. And when it comes to women and high body counts, what is your gut? And when you run into a woman who slept with 50, 60 men, your gut tells you, hey, don't get into a serious relationship with this woman, okay? And again, like I said, guys, this is very politically correct, but it's also common sense. I make videos here to protect guys, not to be politically correct, all right? If I wanted to be politically correct, I would still be in the academic world. Okay, so why do men want to avoid women with high body counts? The biggest reason is women who have slept with many, many men are going to have difficulty bonding and sustaining a relationship with one man. That's the facts, guys. That's what your gut tells you. That's what common sense tells you. And if you look at evolutionary biology, there's a reason for that, right? Women are the gatekeepers of sex, right? A woman generally is going to get pregnant. She's going to go through pregnancy. She's going to give birth. We all know that women dominate. The first year of childcare is dominated by women. I don't care what anyone says. I love my son, but the first year, he just kind of laid there and cried and pooped and peed, right? young children just aren't that exciting for me. Now, once my son hit 1 year old and was up and walking, then I became an extremely involved dad. But a woman is going to go through 9 months of pregnancy, and she's going to have all that child care heaped on her the first year. She knows this. So because of this, any woman with any common sense who's smart is going to be highly selective about the men she sleeps with. She's only going to sleep with men who are more likely to commit to her, who have high value, right? They're tall, they're athletic, they're smart, they're excellent hunters, excellent gatherers. In today's world, they have good careers, they make money. Women are going to be highly selective about the men they sleep with, okay? That's why sex is more moral and spiritual for women, as it should be. A woman has to have an emotional bond, or should have an emotional bond with the man she's having sex with. Now, for men, guys, the reality is it's different. Men will sleep with women simply because they're physically attracted to them, and they don't have to be that physically attractive. How many of you guys have slept with very average-looking women just because you're horny? You're not going to go through pregnancy. Yes, today we have childcare and financially you get thing, but your brain is still not programmed to think of all the outcomes, all the negative, all the responsibilities that go along with sex. Your brain isn't programmed that way. So all you're thinking is that, hey, I'm sexually attracted to this girl. I want to sleep with her. So sex is more physical for men. It's more spiritual and emotional for women. So men can sleep with multiple women and then still be able to become emotionally attached, because they're not emotionally attached to any of these women. They just sleep with them because they're horny. Admit it, guys. A lot of you have done that. Okay? Whereas on the other hand, the woman needs to have that bond. And if she's sleeping with lots of men without having that bond, that's going to lock her into a pattern of an inability to commit and sustain a long-term relationship. Again, guys, this is politically incorrect. You're not going to see a lot of academic studies because feminists don't like this idea. Feminists are going to get very upset if you present this argument, and you get your career. If you're in the academic world, you'll be out of a job. Trust me, you'll be out of a job like that. Okay, so the argument here is then that body count matters for when it comes to women more than it does for men. Men with high body counts generally have high body counts because they're very high value men. Women with high body counts become lower in value. I also want to look at a little study. There is a small amount of academic work on this. There's a concept known as microchimerism, okay? Microchimerism refers to the fact that when women have sex with men, some of that DNA from the man they have sex with is transferred to the woman. So if a woman sleeps with 60 men, she's going to get DNA from 60 men. Now, this is very controversial. And this was a study that came out in 2012. And yes, primarily it happens when the woman gets pregnant. So some may say, well, if a woman's sleeping with men and not getting pregnant, what's the problem? Well, the problem is a lot of times women get pregnant and have abortions. Okay? And in this case, whenever a woman gets pregnant from a man, 63% of the time, nearly 2/3 of the time, she's going to retain DNA from that man. So if you then have sex with that woman and you have a child, the chances are high, 2 out of 3, that child is going to have DNA from the other man. Now, again, this was a very controversial study, came out in 2012, and academics were just, they were put into a fury, and all the feminists attacked the study, and we are not seeing a lot of real good scientific work in this area because this is a career killer. But guys, it's just common sense. If a woman is sleeping with many, many men, the chances are high that that's going to have an impact, a fundamental impact on her DNA. That possibility is out there. The evidence in this study was very, very good and very well documented. The study, trying to remember the authors. It was done in 2012. Just look up microchimerism 2012 and you can get linked to that study. Okay, so the larger point here, guys, is again, we're going back to common sense. You don't want to have a woman with a high body count. She's going to have, the chances are going to be lower that she is going to bond with you and that you're going to have a successful relationship. So how do you deal with this problem? How do you avoid women with extremely high body counts? Well, a lot of times they'll just tell you, okay? So, and this is again where we see all the conflict, all the angry women on social media saying, if I tell a guy I've slept with 40, I've slept with 40, 50 men, that's sexist if he holds that against me. It's not fair, it's not right. Well, guys, anyone with common sense knows that you want to avoid women who just come out and admit to that. Now, the reality is a lot of women are smart and they're not going to admit to that. So what can we do in the dating market to avoid this problem? The way we do it, guys, is we focus on interest level, okay? Now, if a woman just sleeps with anyone with low, even when their interest is low, that's the kind of woman we want to avoid. So what we do is we drive interest level up. We're constantly working on driving interest level up. And that increases the chance that if a woman sleeps with you, it's because she really, really likes you. And you're not just some guy, that the woman has standards, okay? Now, I know wait until the third date is no hard and fast way of proving that she does have standards, but it increases your chances. That's why we don't pursue sex on the first and second date. As a matter of fact, if you really go out with a fantastic girl, I hope she doesn't have, if I meet a girl I really, really like and she sleeps with me on the first date, I gotta admit I'm a little bit disappointed because I'm thinking if she sleeps with me, she's sleeping with every other guy out there. Okay, so that's why on a gut level, you guys, what you're feeling is right. What you're feeling is correct. So if I'm going out with a woman and we have a fantastic romantic date on the first date, we kiss, kissing's okay. On the second date, we have another fantastic, I'm doing everything right. I'm not calling her between dates. I'm spoon feeding her myself. I'm only seeing her once a week. By the third date, she likes you so much, her interest is now 87%. She's falling in love with you, then she sleeps with you. At least this way, guys, we increase our odds, we increase our chances. All right, guys, so if you like what you saw and you heard today, please hit that like and subscribe button. I want to build a community of men of men that are able to get women to love you and more importantly, stay in love with you.